Okay, morning everyone. Welcome to the briefing on Saturday the 16th. It's going to be another fairly warm day today. And I'm just looking at the charts over the next couple of days and see how this high pressure slowly moves away, but it then starts to draw in that sort of really warm air from the continent on sort of Sunday night and Monday. And you can see where the sort of plume of hot air is coming from. So today, the high pressure has just sat right over the top of us. Pressure hasn't changed that much. I think it was 1,026 yesterday. It's now 1,027, so it's stabilized a little bit. Interesting how it's sort of settling, but it's not sort of collapsing and stabilizing out as you would expect with high pressures. After a few days, the inversion comes down. I think there will be an inversion there, but it's going to be up at about 6,000 feet plus. So you can see light winds in here. There is a general easterly trend, but it is, as I say, fairly light. A couple of knots on the ground. Farnborough sort of showing 3 knots, Gatwick 3 knots, but easterly, northeasterly direction. Probably more like about 5 knots at times, I think. Looking at other forecasts. Further in the centre of the country, just variable really. Fairly light. Cav in all places. Obviously that means no cloud below 5,000 feet. And that's an interesting one today, looking at some of the sensors you'll see a bit later. So upper winds along the channel, the high pressure is sort of centered over the middle of the country. Along the channel, it's just an easterly flow, 10 to 15 knots, and then variable in the middle of the country. We're just on the edge of that easterly flow here. So as I say, I think at flying heights over us, 5 to 8 knots probably from the northeast. SatPic shows reasonably clear, very thin bands of cirrus, just loitering one across here from the Bristol Channel to the Thames Estuary really, and odd bits floating around East Anglia just at the moment. I had a look at the infrared SatPic and that doesn't really show anything thick at all. This stuff here is just more low level cloud coming in off the Irish Sea here. So with that, it means the temperatures are building fairly steadily. The BBC this morning was suggesting 27 degrees. I think certainly 28, 29 in London, 27 around here probably, and out to the north. And dew points, this is the predicted, remember, they're sort of showing 8s and 7s. Well, currently the dew points are about 11. And this time yesterday, around here, dew points were 9 and they went down to 6. So I think if they're 11 and they go down to about 9, might be a chance of seeing some cumulus. The soundings, the predicted soundings, it's fairly dry in here. So this is why both Top Meteo and SkySight are not showing any cumulus on them. But if the dew points actually are around here, 9s to 10s, if they stay in that area, there may be a chance of some cumulus. Whatever happens when it does get going, thermal heights will be over 5,000 feet, that's for sure. There's no reason why it shouldn't go to nearly 6 above sea level with the temperature of 27 degrees. This is around here, 12 o'clock, and a similar sort of picture at 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, again with 26, 27 degrees over 6,000 feet. Looking further north, Bicester, Buckingham area, again, the lines are reasonable distance apart, but if you get the temperature where we think it's going to go, there'll be blue thermals up to over 6,000 feet. They are showing a little bit of the lines coming together here, so potential bands of cirrus floating about. Now, just at a quick look at the Hirschman show for last night. Unfortunately, we don't get a Larkhill at the weekends, but the Hirschman show shows the lines a little bit closer together, and I can see why, looking at this and the Camborne ascent, they're thinking, certainly Top Meteo and SkySight are thinking there may be cumulus in those sort of areas. Gives you a good idea of what the temperature's got to do to actually break the inversion, 21, 22 degrees to break that. But once it actually properly breaks the inversion, I think you'll find thermals will very rapidly be going to sort of 4,000 feet plus. And then with 26 degrees, yeah, 1,800 meters, maybe a little bit more. So Top Meteo not showing any cloud, certainly by 11 o'clock, and then move it forward a couple of hours. And they're beginning to show some cloud in the sort of southeast over Kent and Sussex here. But all we've got is clear sky with odd bands of cirrus floating about. And again, they're showing it blue right up till sort of 6 o'clock tonight. Thermal heights. And if we go from midday, they're saying it should be soarable by midday to above 3,000 feet. And then certainly by 1 o'clock going to 3,500, 4,000 feet. It might be a bit of a slow start. It might be, gone 11:30, 12 o'clock before it actually triggers and goes properly up to a reasonable height. But in the afternoon, 15, 16, 1,700 meters, that's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And they're showing around Lasham, 1,900, 2,000 meters. So, where it gets really hot in here, yeah, it should get up to around 6,000 feet. And the projected distance, well, the 18-meter gliders, it's green over a reasonable part of the country. Should be okay to the west. That almost follows the temperature profile of the best areas in the south here. SkySight, similar sort of picture with height of thermals by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 15, 1,600 meters, maybe 1,800 meters around Lasham, and still good up to the north, past Dunstable and into Cambridgeshire. And that gets better as the afternoon goes on. By 3, 4 o'clock, pretty good over quite a large area. So a bit of a slow start. Cloud base, again, they're not forecasting any cloud apart from down in the southeast like Top Meteo are. So I think very likely blue, but just depending on what those dew points do, we might see some cumulus in places. Don't rule it out completely. So their predicted distance won't be that different to Top Meteos. So in the afternoon, just heading north, really. Okay, airspace wise, lot going on, looks fairly busy on the map. But there's key ones to be aware of. Boscombe Down got their usual high intensity radio transmissions, and they are active at Middle Wallop, so they've no time gliding there. The rest of the smaller ones, number 22, 23, 30, they're all just events, fly pasts, paragliding. There are 3 key ones. Old Warden out here, they've got restricted airspace, and it's between 9 and 17:15 today. So 3 nautical mile radius, folks. And then number 19, which is Farnborough's airspace for the air show there, and number 3233, which is Riyadh. So I'll look at those in a second. Number 21 in here, it's just a fly past a hook, so nothing to worry about. So as I say, lots of small little things that, you know, no real cause for concern. Might pop up. Number 48 Mildenhall, got restricted airspace, but that's late this evening at about 7:30 tonight, so it shouldn't be an issue for anybody. So reasonable over sort of quite a large area into East Anglia, nothing to worry about. So the main ones, Farnborough first of all. This is the airspace that's active this morning. So areas 1, 2, 3 and 4 are active between 9 o'clock and 1 p.m. and that's the end of it at 1 p.m. We had an email yesterday from them saying there's no displays today at all. So it's a pity they couldn't actually deactivate the airspace by NOTAM, but I suspect that was too late to do that. And so at 1 o'clock it disappears. There are maps for this and the Riyadh airspace in the Lasham office if you want to grab one. So Riyadh all day, that's the airspace, 6.5 to the south of that line and 8.5 over Bryce. I suspect it'll be a busy day there today. It's activated till 7 o'clock tonight. So please avoid. I don't think there's been any infringements that I know of yet, but the power flying community normally end up nicking it or busting it in some way. Grove and Abingdon are really the lines here. If you sort of draw 2 lines between those, as long as you stay east of there, when you're heading north or south, you'll be absolutely fine. Okay, operationally today, folks, I had a plan in my head to operate, and that's been completely thrown by an email I got this morning about potential jet movement inbound to us. It said it was leaving Stansted at 8:30, so you know, possibly early morning inbound. I'll find out about that fairly shortly. The plan was to set up the grid, starting it at about these markers on the main runway and having a grid down through here, 2 lines, and then having a winching operation from the control tower here and the winch placed at the eastern end of the field. So yeah, 09 operation. We can afford to have a little bit of a late start, so I will actually get some confirmation on when this jet movement is taking place. Once I've done that, I'll give a couple of you who are likely to be at the front of the grid a text message, and hopefully we'll be able to set up either after it's gone, or if it's not going to happen at all, we'll set up straight away. Okay, see you out there. We've got a reasonable day on the club flying. We need to get 3 or 4 2-seaters out and get going, and we'll air a tow from the runway anyway.